listening to the Third Coast Gridiron H-Town's podcast on the LSG Network with your host, Marc Henry.
Rolling in hot, it's week 8 of the high school football season in the H. What it do? This is your host, Marc Henry of the Third Coast Gridiron on the LSG Network, the authority for high school football in the state of Texas. Man, I can't believe it's week 8. Where did the time go? No, slow down, man. Listen, nobody loves high school football more than me, but I love this time of year. District time. It's starting to shape up. Who's the big dog and who's the little dog in district play? Of course, the big dogs go to the playoffs. The little dogs start their offseason early. Man, we're going to talk about that and more. Some week 8 matchups towards the end of the show, and we'll break down a few matchups from week 7. Of course, we will spotlight our grind and shine players of the week. Heading into week 8, A-Sounds podcast at Third Coast Gridiron. Man, we'll take a small break, and we will come back and talk week 7 here on TCG, Third Coast Gridiron.
With open enrollment coming soon for Medicare, ACA, Obamacare, and small group plans for businesses with less than 100 employees, if you're in need of health insurance solutions, look no further than HAP Insurance Agency. Yes, HAP Insurance Agency is a fantastic resource right in the heart of College Station, Texas. Whether you're in retirement, a business owner, or simply looking for the best health coverage option, HAP Insurance Agency has got you covered. You can find them in College Station at 1551 Greens Prairie Road West, Suite 101A, or give Holly Pritchard a call at 972-897-0814. That's HAP Insurance Agency. Do you have a party coming up or just want a special gift? Check out Nani's Sweeter Side. Yes, Nani's Sweeter Side makes the most amazing custom-created sugar cookies with your design. They also offer paint your own cookies and decorate your own cookies. Those make an excellent sweet activity that you can sink your teeth into at parties. Nani's also offers some of the most amazing cupcakes ever. You can check out Nani's Sweeter Side at nanisweeterside.com. That's N-A-N-I. Check her out on Facebook. Just look for Nani's Sweeter Side. Or give her a call at 937-499-4790. At Nani's Sweeter Side, you'll find that happiness is homemade.
Thursday night action in the H, man. The first game up 70-0. Spring shuts out Aldine. The Lions don't have any trouble getting that district winning streak and keeping it going. They're 3-3 overall, man. Shout out to the Spring Lions, man. 2-1 and 14-6-8. Decaney 31-6 over Aldine Davis. Listen, the Wildcats are playing phenomenal. They're doing their thing over there in 14-6A. So, it's setting up a real big setup with them in spring. Both of those teams are heading to that particular matchup, and those guys are balling out, man. Listen, shout out to Decaney for getting the dub. Klein Oak over Klein 28-27 in a big victory, man. They get a late touchdown pass to get by Klein. Both teams looking to keep up with the Klein Oaks, the Klein Canes, and the Klein Forest, and Klein Collins in that particular district. That's a very tough district in the H. Probably one of the most competitive. Those teams usually neck and neck over there, really competing and really trying to knock each other off. Those guys have been balling, man. Shout out to Klein Oak for getting the victory over Klein. Cypress Ranch 48-7 over Cypress Park. Listen, shout out to the Lamar Texans, 7-0 for the first time in 10 years. They dominate Westbury 69-7. Listen, that's a big victory in 18-6A that kind of puts them in the driver's seat over there. I think that Lamar's a team that's probably going to go maybe 3 to 4 rounds deep, depends on the matchups. My guy Jordan Reeves, 11-17 for 228 yards, and he balled out, man. I like what they're doing over there. Shout out to Tristan Brown over there at Lamar as well. 5 catches for 115 yards and 2 tubs. Katie gets a big one over Paytown, 31-7. Taylor gets a big one over Martin Ranch, 15-6. Listen, the Mustangs played a phenomenal brand of football, holding Morton Ranch to 6 points. Right now, they're holding the third spot down in 19-6A. So that's very, very important. Now, listen, we talked about it in the opening, how important these games are now in this district. Races for all the districts around the state, especially in Houston. In a competitive district like 19-6A, you got to pull your weight every week. And Katie Taylor gets it done, 15-6 over Morton Ranch. Hightower 67-0 over Dulles. Listen, the Hurricanes are really, really coming in and playing a phenomenal brand of football. They're doing their thing. And this is what you want to do. This is what you got to do to get these dubs, man. Very, very important down the stretch that you have to win if you want to get in. That's how it is going into these district matchups now. Shout out to Hightower for taking care of business and winning a game that they should win, 67-0. Humble over Beaumont Westbrook, 27-13. Deer Park over Pasadena shuts them out, 65-0. Shadow Creek gets a big victory over Elsig, 24-0. Listen, Shadow Creek, they know what they got to do. They got that one loss to Pearland, but they're still in the driver's seat as far as being a playoff team coming out of 23-6A, 5-1, 2-1 overall in that district. Big victory for those guys. Sterling 44-6 over Milby. Listen, the Raiders on a 3-game winning streak. They're 4-2 overall, 3-1 in 9-5A D1. So, look for those guys to continue to play hot ball over there, man. I think that Sterling's a team that's going to, push the envelope to try to get to the playoffs. I mean, this is a big game. A lot of times these teams, come in and they've got high expectations, but Sterling seems to be stepping up to the plate and performing. Shout out to the Raiders. Wisdom over Northside, 52-0. Foster over Kempner, 55-18. I mean, this is what you want, is your team to be playing well at this time of the year. This is the big, big time of the year when you want to go to the playoffs. The good teams usually rise to the top, whereas other teams kind of fall to the wayside. A lot of pressure on guys to really, really get that done, man. But shout out to my guys over at North Shore, man. And Summer Creek played a phenomenal game against those guys the other day. Of course, Cato Bailey's the guy that makes that engine go offensively. He's doing a great job returning, from injury. Like I said, if you've been listening to the show regularly earlier in the year, I had a chance to speak with him at the state last year, and he was just really itching at the gate to really get in that game. And I think he could have played if they let him, but. He's really showing that he's one of the top quarterbacks, not just in Houston, but I think in the state of Texas, and definitely one of the best in the country. And he helps them get that done. Of course, Devin Sanchez is one of the top cornerbacks in the class 2025 in the country. He made a couple of big plays there. He's always going to play big when it counts. These are some of the guys over North Shore that have been playing phenomenal. Of course, you got Lord Avant over at Summer Creek, who's been playing phenomenal as well. But North Shore gets the victory, man. This is a big game in 21-6A. Of course, I think that the 4 teams that'll come out of that district, of course, will be North Shore, Atascocita, Summer Creek, and as well as Sea King. That's how it's been the last probably 4 years. Those guys have been in the same district for about 4 years. They're the cream of the crop. That's usually how it is. Humble's been playing well, but they kind of lost a big game a couple of weeks ago. When they went up against Summer Creek. So these guys got to take care of business week to week now as we get to the latter part of these district matchups, which we talked about. They have to win. And, North Shore showed it, man. They got a big 31-21 victory. Like I said, these particular games are super important. And I believe that, Summer Creek is starting to close the gap in these matchups because the proof is in the pudding. When Summer Creek gets to the playoffs, they've been going 3 to 4 rounds deep, and so has C.E. King. So these teams are very strong. They know how to get it done, but it's just taking care of business when it counts in these particular matchups. And we know that these teams can do that because they've proven it. These coaching staffs, the kids in that particular area, they're used to winning. And, I believe that this district is one of the top districts in the state of Texas. You can take these guys and line them up against anybody. The proof is in the pudding because C. King went to North Texas and beat Allen, which is one of the perennial powers in the state of Texas. They don't have a problem with traveling and doing well, and that's the reason these guys make playoff runs every year. We'll take a small break to come back and talk Friday scores, and then we will get into the grind and shine players right here on TGC, the Third Coast Gridiron.
Hey, did you know volleyball is the fastest growing sport in the country? Yes, volleyball is exploding. And so is our coverage of volleyball. Starting in a couple weeks, the High School Volleyball Coaches Show will launch. It's going to be by myself and Mick Haley. Mick Haley, if you know volleyball, you know him. He's won national championships coaching UT volleyball, won national championships coaching USC volleyball. He coached Olympic volleyball. You name it, he has done it all. And what we're going to do, we're going to talk to the top high school volleyball coaches in the country, not just Texas, the entire country, and it's going to be great. The High School Volleyball Coaches Show coming to you very soon.
Looking to boost your company's marketing? Look no further than Fresh MediaWorks. Podcasting is the best way to promote your brand and increase your customer base. You can create your own show, be a guest on other podcasts, or advertise on existing podcasts to reach a valuable audience. Don't wait. Start elevating your marketing game today with Fresh MediaWorks. Call now. 713-269-4620 or find us online at freshmediaworks.com/podcasting.
Let's hop into week 7, talk a few scores and highlights from week 7. My guys over at Katy Jordan bounced back from a tough loss at Katy last week. 48-21 victory over Cinco Ranch. Colin Willett stays hot. Listen, 235 yards in the first half, 4 touchdowns, and they rolled over Cinco Ranch 48-21. I really think that this Jordan team is going to be a playoff team for sure. That was a big win to kind of etch it in stone a little bit. They still got a couple more games to go, but they are playing a phenomenal brand of ball. Some guys that showed out last week, Tanner West, Deacon Stanfield, Andrew Marsh, Connor Babin. Listen, they each caught passes from Willits, man. Listen, they're 5-1 on the year, 3-1 in district. Definitely some guys that you want to check out, man. Jordan's balling out. Shout out to my guy Zachariah Sample over there, man. He's one of the best in the state at what he does, man. Let's move on. Fort Bend Ridge Point stays hot. 55-14 victory over Elkins. A 26-8 victory. Listen, shout out to my guys, the Drummer twins over there, man. Wesley and Quincy Drummer, 2 guys that you might want to pull up on. College coaches, 2 running backs that are powerful, that get it done. Shout out to the Drummer twins over there. Definitely got to pull up on those guys and check them out, man. 55-14 victory over Elkins. Atascocita stays hot. 57 points in the first half and a 78-0 victory over Beaumont United. They got it done. They're 6-0. They're 3-0. Listen, they take on a Humble next week. They got to keep doing it, man. They got a big victory against Katy earlier in the year, and they stay hot. Everything is pointing to that big showdown in a couple of weeks against North Shore. That's going to be a great game. I can't wait to see that one. Galveston Ball blanks Austin 70-0. Jonah Williams with a 55-yard punt return early in the first half. Man, listen, if you don't know who Jonah Williams is, check him out. He's one of the top players in the state of Texas in his class. Can do everything. Play linebacker, play safety. Listen, he's a dog. He's a great player, man. Definitely a guy that you want to check out. Of course, Galveston Ball blanks Austin 70-0. Dixon 45-13 over Clear Falls. Pearland stays hot over Alvin 73-0. They got a big one against Dawson this week, man. That'll determine the district leader. Both teams will come in at 3-0 in this district. Going to be a hotly contested game. Of course, that's big brother, little cousin, big cousin. Everything you want to do, that's family right there. Those guys have been playing and going against each other probably since middle school. They work out together, same area. That's going to be a heavily contested game coming up in week 8. Maid Creek 31-24 over Seven Lakes. Big victory for those guys. Of course, it's a 19-6A matchup over in that competitive district. Of course, right now, I believe Katy and Katy Jordan are the top teams in that district, so Maid Creek's got to keep pace, continue to win. Clear Spring 66-7 over Brazerswood. George Ranch with a big one over Bush 27-14. Cy Fair 40-17 over Cypress Creek. Senior UT commit Trey Owens, man, he had 3 first half touchdowns, man. Listen, if you hadn't seen Trey Owens play, you've been living under a rock when it comes to high school football. He's one of the top in Texas. He's definitely one of the top players in the age that you want to see before he heads off to the 40 acres down in Austin, man. You definitely want to pull up on this guy. Big shout out to my guy Trey Owens. Belleville over Brookshire Royal 45-10. Didi Murray had a phenomenal game. Listen, in the first half, runs of 80, 39, and 15. Listen, they poured it on late, and listen, they went and balled out, man. Shout out to Didi Murray and Belleville for the big victory over Brookshire Royal. That makes them 7-0. They got a big one with Sealy coming up this week, and Brookshire Royal drops to 1-1, but they still have a chance to get to the playoffs. They got to play Wharton this week. Everything now is very, very important when it comes to these matchups now, because we're getting to the later part of the season. We only got probably 3 weeks left after this week of high school football, regular season before the playoffs start. So definitely these teams have to take care of business, and the action is getting real action-packed now when you go out to these games. And so we'll take a small break. We'll come back and talk about a few grind and shine players of the week from week 7, and then we'll close it out and talk about a couple of big games for week 8 right here on TCG, the Third Coast Gridiron.
With open enrollment coming soon for Medicare, ACA, Obamacare, and small group plans for businesses with less than 100 employees, if you're in need of health insurance solutions, look no further than HAP Insurance Agency. Yes, HAP Insurance Agency is a fantastic resource right in the heart of College Station, Texas. Whether you're in retirement, a business owner, or simply looking for the best health coverage option, HAP Insurance Agency has got you covered. You can find them in College Station at 1551 Greens Prairie Road West, Suite 101A, or give Holly Pritchard a call at 972-897-0814. That's HAP Insurance Agency.
Grind and shine. Let's get into it. Week 7, man. We'll talk about some of the great performances around the H. We'll start with Kelshawn Johnson from Hitchcock. Plays on both sides of the ball. 6 catches, 150 yards, and a TD. And also took back a pick 6 for 65. Helped the Bulldogs get a 62-32 victory over a great Yoakum team. Eli Marcos, listen, we've been talking about this kid for a few weeks now. Over at Lake Creek, he's been balling out. You might want to pull up on him, man. He's one of the better quarterbacks in the area. He's making a name for himself. College coaches are paying attention as well. 10 of 13, 200 yards, and 3 tubs, and a big victory over Lamar Consolidated. Deshaun Burton over in Neeville does it again. 33 carries for 209 yards and 4 touchdowns. Grinding and shining. He's been doing this all year, man. He's one of the top backs in the area. Of course, he's a junior. He's going to be back. People are starting to pay attention. Shout out to Burton for getting it done. Michael Wilson over at Klein Collins. 20 attempts, 256 yards, and 2 tubs as they got a big victory over Tomball Memorial. That's saying something. Shout out to my guy Tucker Parks over there at Klein Collins as well. Rodney Ojo and those guys. Had a chance to get to see a lot of them with those guys over there at 707 KC Elite. Big shout out to Klein Collins for getting the dub, man. Davion Godley, Fulsher, balled out. 219 yards, 12 carries, and 3 touchdowns, man. Big time win for Fulshers. They get the dub 61-29 over Friendswood. We talked about Fulsher earlier. It's one of those teams coming out of that district. Pay attention, man. Pull up on Godley. Shout out to him for a grind and shine performance. Jermaine Bishop Jr., he's a sophomore at Willis, and a loaded Willis offense. He balled out. Kick return for 92 yards, 7 catches for 93, and another tub as Willis gets a big 56-17 victory over College Park. Hunter Andrews at Magnolia, man. He bullied his way to 20 carries, 275 yards, and 5 tubs as they've got a big victory over Magnolia West. Taj Atkins, senior running back at Westfield. He's a baller, man. This is a guy you might want to pull up on. Heavily recruited guy coming out of Westfield. 13 carries for 192 yards and 2 TDs as they beat Nimitz 42-28. Julian Salazar over at Clear Springs. He balled out. He got his grind and shine on. Big salute to him. 12 of 14 for 303 yards. 2 tubs and a big victory over Brazoswood 66-7. Shout out to Cameron Matthews. He got his grind and shine on. He rumbled 20 times for 225 yards and 3 TDs. Big time win for Dobie 42-27 over Pasadena Memorial. Listen, Shout out to all the grind and shine players of the week right here on TCG, the Third Coast Gridiron, man. You gotta grind, you gonna shine. That's basically what we're trying to tell you, man. These are some of the best players in the H, man. These are the guys that are doing it on Fridays, Thursday nights, and even Saturdays, man. They get it done. We'll take a small break and come back and look at a few games in Week 8 right here on TCG, the Third Coast Gridiron. Gia.
Hey, did you know volleyball is the fastest growing sport in the country? Yes, volleyball is exploding. And so is our coverage of volleyball. Starting in a couple weeks, the High School Volleyball Coaches Show will launch. It's going to be by myself and Mick Haley. Mick Haley, if you know volleyball, you know him. He's won national championships coaching UT volleyball, won national championships coaching USC volleyball. He coached Olympic volleyball. You name it, he has done it all. And what we're going to do, we're going to talk to the top high school volleyball coaches in the country, not just Texas, the entire country, and it's going to be great. The High School Volleyball Coaches Show coming to you very soon.
Looking to boost your company's marketing? Look no further than Fresh MediaWorks. Podcasting is the best way to promote your brand and increase your customer base. You can create your own show, be a guest on other podcasts, or advertise on existing podcasts to reach a valuable audience. Don't wait. Start elevating your marketing game today with Fresh MediaWorks. Call now. 713-269-4620 or find us online at freshmediaworks.com/podcasting.
All right, let's shoot our shot at Week 8 right here on TCG, the Third Coast Gridiron, right here on the Lone Star Gridiron Network every week. The authority for high school football in the state of Texas. Shout out to my guy, Chris Doyle. Listen, if you want to get your own podcast started, you can do it right here, man. This is the 4th season of the Third Coast H-Towns podcast, man. Holla at Chris at the Lone Star Gridiron Network, man. Definitely want to get in. Let's hop into it, man. 26A, a big matchup, Hightower and George Ranch, and also Elkins at Bush. 2 big games in that particular district. These are Thursday matchups that you might want to check out. Seven Lakes and Jordan. Listen, we talked about 196A. They had a tough loss to Katy 2 weeks ago, but they rebounded. Jordan's a playoff team. You can stamp that. I'm telling you right here, 196A, they're going to get it done. Also, another big matchup, Cinco Ranch and Paytown. Paytown's kind of having a down year after being, a team that won state a couple of years ago. But they'll rebound, and they'll get back into it. Big matchup between them and Cinco Ranch. Cinco Ranch needs to get this dub in order to keep pace, man. Big one over in 15-6A, Klein Collins and Klein Forest. Listen, Klein Forest is always one of the more talented teams over there. But Klein Kane has, I think, one of the best quarterbacks definitely in the state, in Tucker Parks, the West Kentucky commit. Rodney Ojo's been playing well on the defensive side as well. He's a guy that can also play a little offense if they need it. Big matchup over there as far as district implications go. 14-6A, Westfield and Eisenhower. Listen, this is a big rivalry regardless of what the implications are. 2 teams that definitely have a lot of talent. We just talked about Todd Atkins over at Westfield, one of the top backs in the state of Texas. Listen, that's going to be a big game. Definitely might want to pay attention to that one in 14-6A, man. Listen, 9-5A matchup, D1, Houston Sterling and Wild Trip. The Wild Trip's been playing some ball this year, man. So is Sterling. This is going to determine probably who comes out on top in this district. This is a big game, 7 p.m. over at Delmar Stadium. You might want to check it out. Should be very, very good. You might want to pull up to this one, a big-time matchup in 9-5A D1. A couple of more games here. Let's move to Friday night, man. 24-6A, a big matchup, Clear Creek and Clear Brook, also Clear Lake and Clear Springs. Brazoswood's been playing very well. Dickinson, the Gators are always chomping at the bit. Listen, we talked about earlier in the show how important these matchups are. This is a big game. Also, 23-6A, we talked about Pearland and Dawson. This is going to be for the right who probably comes out of this district as the 1 seed between these 2 teams. This is a matchup on Friday night over at Pearland Stadium. These guys definitely got to get it done. Pearland wants to be that big dog that they are. They got to continue to win and get this done. 23-6A matchup over there should determine the district title over there as well. I think that Pearland's got the upper hand, but Dawson's probably going to have something to say about that. These are two teams that you definitely want to check out over there. A couple of more matchups here before we get out of here. 1968, Katy Taylor and Maid Creek. Listen, these teams are right on the cusp of making the playoffs. 3rd or 4th seed. This is what they need to do. Taylor got a big win last week, and Maid Creek is right on that cusp of making the playoffs as well. This is really going to determine the 3rd and 4th slot coming out of that particular 1968 district. Got to get that win if you're Taylor and Maid Creek. Big matchup on Friday night, man. I know that these guys want to get there, and I know that they want to do it. Tomball Memorial in 15-6A. Memorial's been playing great. Tomball's a rival. They're both in the same vicinity. Definitely a 15-6A matchup that you want to check out. And also in 15-6A, Klein Kane and Klein Oak. Listen, Oak is coming off a big win. Klein is a team that's usually a playoff team coming out of that district. Who's going to change it? Who's going to do it? These are the kind of matchups you want to see at the end of the year or the end of the district year, which is getting really close. This is week 8, so these guys definitely know that they have to win in order to get in. And that's a very, very talented district over there. So, these are some teams and games that you may want to check out around the H, man, and pull up. I really think that those teams that we just talked about, these wins and losses are going to determine whether they make the playoffs and who wins the district. And this time of year is definitely what you want. Your team, when you want your team to be playing at a high level and being hot. And that's usually how you get to the playoffs, is you get on a run. Of course, if you win the district, you get to host a playoff game. That's super important. You got the home field advantage. You got your home crowd. You got a chance to host a playoff game if you win the district. I think that's really, really, a really, really cool thing. It gives the kids another chance to play in front of their home crowd, because, listen, there'll be some seniors that may not get a chance to ball out anymore, man. Everybody doesn't get a chance to go to college. It's only a 7% rate. I mean, you can look that up, man. That's a whole nother show in itself. You know what I'm saying? But, I think that, these teams that we talked about on these particular games coming into week 8, they know that. These coaching staffs know that. They know the sense of urgency that they have to have in order to make it to the playoffs. And that's what it's all about, man. Once it gets playoff time, the saying around the state is, if you're practicing after Thanksgiving or practicing on Thanksgiving, then you're really playing some good ball at that particular time of the year. So the guys that practice on Thanksgiving, take care of business right here in week 8 and get those dubs, man. But that's all we got for you here on the Third Coast Gridiron. Follow us on Twitter at Third Gridiron. You can follow me on Twitter at MarkHen44, on Instagram at Mark_Hen44. Also TXTP Show on Twitter and Instagram as well, man. Shout out to my guy Matt Davis and Top Texas Prospects. Man, we'll be definitely in the building with that this week as well. You can check out that on the Lone Star Gridiron Network as well. Listen, to all the guys out there that's balling, man, continue to do what you're doing, man. Hope that everybody's having a great season. We appreciate everybody for tapping in and all of the great feedback that we're getting right here on the Third Coast Gridiron each week, man. I'm your host, Marc Henry. We out. We'll get at you next week.